3 days passed since Princess Lyra crashed on Earth. The humans kept her in a special room at their military base. It had a bed, a small bathroom, and not much else. 2 guards always stood outside her door. They brought her food 3 times a day. The food tasted strange to her, but she ate it anyway. Lieutenant Olivia Mercer came to see her every day. They worked together on fixing the damaged ship. Lyra explained how the quantum matrix worked, using simple words because humans didn't understand advanced Zilarian science. Olivia was smart for a human, though. She learned quickly. "Your scientists are looking at the wrong part," Lyra said, pointing at a diagram on Olivia's tablet. "The problem is in the core stabilizer, not the engine." Olivia nodded and made notes. "We'll check it today. If you're right, we might be able to prevent the core meltdown." When they worked together, Lyra felt strange, comfortable somehow, like she had known this human for a long time. Sometimes their hands would touch by accident, and that same vision would flash in their minds. The ceremony under twin moons, their hands tied with glowing rope. "Why do we keep seeing that?" Olivia asked one day. "What does it mean?" Lyra shook her head. "I don't know. It feels like a memory, but I've never been to a place with twin moons, and I've certainly never met you before. Maybe it's some kind of alien mind trick," Olivia suggested. "No, my people can't do that. We have some telepathic abilities, but they only work with other Zilarians." Lyra paused. "At least that's what I was taught." That night, Lyra had strange dreams. She saw herself younger, maybe 10 years ago. She wore ceremonial robes. She was on a planet she didn't recognize, standing in a beautiful garden. People from her world stood on one side. Humans stood on the other side. Everyone looked happy, excited, like they were at a celebration. In the dream, she walked toward a human figure. The face was blurry, but somehow Lyra knew it was Olivia. They held hands. An old Zilarian priest spoke words that Lyra couldn't quite hear. Then the glowing rope appeared, wrapping around their joined hands. Lyra woke up with a gasp. The dream felt so real, too real to be just a dream. The next morning, when Olivia came to her room, Lyra could tell something was wrong. The human looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. "You had dreams too, didn't you?" Lyra asked. Olivia nodded slowly. "How did you know?" "Because I had them too. The garden, the ceremony." "This is impossible," Olivia said, sitting down heavily on the chair, across from Lyra. "I've never met you before last week. I've never even left Earth." "Are you sure about that?" Lyra asked quietly. Olivia looked up, her eyes troubled. "What do you mean?" "What if our memories were changed? What if we did meet before, but someone made us forget?" "That's crazy. Who could do that, and why?" Lyra paced the small room. "My people have technology that can alter memories. It's used rarely, only in extreme cases, usually for people who experience severe trauma." "And you think someone used this on both of us, to make us forget meeting each other?" "I don't know. But these visions, these dreams, they feel like real memories trying to break through." Olivia stood up and walked to the door. "I need to think about this. I'll be back later." After Olivia left, Lyra sat on her bed and tried to remember more. If someone had changed her memories, maybe she could find the gaps, the places where things didn't quite make sense. She closed her eyes and focused. She remembered growing up on Zilaria, her education, her royal duties. She remembered her parents, the king and queen. She remembered being chosen for this mission to Earth. But when she tried to recall what happened about 10 years ago, things got fuzzy. There was a 6-month period where her memories seemed vague, like watching a movie with bad reception. That night, Lyra had another dream. This time, she was in a small spaceship with Olivia. They were alone, flying through space. They were laughing, talking like old friends. No, more than friends. In the dream, Olivia called her "my love" in the Zilarian language. When Lyra woke up, she felt certain. These weren't just dreams, they were memories. Olivia came to her room early that morning. She looked even more tired than before. "I couldn't sleep," Olivia said. "I kept having these dreams. You and me together. It doesn't make any sense. I had more dreams too, Lyra said. And I think they're real. I think we knew each other before. I think we were... She hesitated, not sure how to say it. What? What were we? Olivia asked. Before Lyra could answer, alarms started blaring throughout the base. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside. The guards at Lyra's door suddenly became alert, raising their weapons. A voice came over the speakers. All personnel to battle stations. Unknown objects approaching Earth orbit. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Olivia's communicator beeped. She answered it quickly, listened for a moment, then looked at Lyra with wide eyes. Solarian ships, she said. A lot of them. They just appeared at the edge of our solar system. Lyra felt her blood run cold. How many? At least 20. Much bigger than yours. A war fleet, Lyra whispered. They must be looking for me. Olivia turned to the guards. I need to take the prisoner to the command center right now. Admiral's orders. The guards looked uncertain but stepped aside. Olivia took Lyra by the arm and led her quickly through the corridors of the base. Soldiers ran past them, heading to their posts. Everyone looked worried. They entered a large room filled with screens and computers. A tall woman with gray hair stood in the center, giving orders. She turned when Olivia and Lyra entered. Lieutenant Mercer, what is the meaning of this? Why have you brought the alien here? Admiral Diane Harlow, Olivia said. The princess can help us. She knows about these ships. Admiral Harlow looked at Lyra with cold eyes. Can you call them off? Tell them to leave our planet alone? I can. Try, Lyra said. But I need to know something first. Did you know about me before my ship arrived? Did Earth and Zelaria have contact before? A strange look passed over Admiral Harlow's face. Just for a second, but Lyra caught it. Fear. Guilt. I don't know what you're talking about, the Admiral said too quickly. We never had contact with your kind until your ship entered our airspace. Lyra looked at Olivia, who had noticed the Admiral's reaction too. She's lying, Lyra said quietly. Olivia turned to a nearby technician. Show us the incoming ships on the main screen. The largest screen in the room changed to show a view of space. Lyra could see Earth in the foreground and in the distance, several large ships. She recognized them immediately. The largest one in the center made her gasp. The Imperial Dawn, she said. That's my cousin's ship, Princess Vela. Your cousin? Olivia asked. What would she be doing here? Lyra's mind raced. She's next in line for the throne after me. If something happened to me... She stopped, a terrible thought forming in her mind. She turned to Olivia. We need to talk privately. Now. Admiral Harlow stepped forward. There's no time for that. Those ships will reach Earth in less than 6 hours. We need to prepare our defenses. 6 hours is plenty of time, Lyra said, firmly. Lieutenant Mercer and I need to discuss something important that might help save your planet. Olivia nodded. 10 minutes, Admiral. That's all we need. Admiral Harlow looked angry, but nodded. 10 minutes. Not 1 second more. Olivia led Lyra to a small meeting room off the main command center. As soon as the door closed, Lyra spoke quickly. I think I know what's happening. My cousin Vela always wanted the throne. If she thought I was dead, she could claim it. And with me gone, she could also claim that humans killed me and use that as an excuse to attack Earth. But why would she? Think you're dead? Olivia asked. My ship's distress signal. It would have sent out my genetic markers, my life signs. If they stopped suddenly, it would look like I died in the crash. Olivia leaned against the wall, thinking. So your cousin is coming to avenge your death, but really she just wants an excuse to attack us and take your throne? Yes. And there's more. Lyra took a deep breath. I think you and I have a connection that someone tried to hide from us. I think 10 years ago our worlds made contact. And I think you and I were part of some kind of peace agreement. What kind of peace agreement would involve us having our memories wiped? On my world, there's an ancient tradition for securing peace between nations. Royal marriage. Olivia's eyes widened. Marriage? You think we were married? In my culture, we have a special bond called Shartala. It means true mate. It's a bond that connects two people at the deepest level. It can't be broken, not even by memory manipulation. Lyra stepped closer to Olivia. That's why we keep having these visions when we touch. The bond is still there, trying to reconnect us. Olivia shook her head in disbelief. This is crazy. Why would anyone make us forget something like that? Because someone on both our worlds didn't want peace. They wanted war. Lyra looked toward the door. Someone like Admiral Harlow, perhaps. They stood in silence for a moment, trying to process what this all meant. So what do we do now? Olivia finally asked. We need to contact my cousin before she attacks. Show her I'm alive. And we need to find out who did this to us, who changed our memories. Olivia nodded slowly. And we need to find proof of what happened 10 years ago. There's one person who might be able to help us, Lyra said. Your medical expert, the one who's been studying my biology, Dr. Kate Sullivan. She might know a way to recover our lost memories. Princess Lyra Vex Noor stood by the large window of her spaceship. Her purple skin glowed softly in the dim light. She watched as the blue planet called Earth grew larger. This was supposed to be a simple mission. Meet the humans, show them how advanced her people were, make them bow to the Zalarian Empire. That was the plan, but something went wrong. Very wrong. The princess touched the cold glass with her six-fingered hand. Her long silver hair floated around her face, moved by the ship's air system. She had studied the humans for months. They were supposed to be weak, simple, not a threat to her powerful race. Your Highness, a voice called from behind her. We are entering Earth's atmosphere in 10 minutes. Lyra turned to face her guard. Captain. Thank you, Drav. Is the welcome message ready to send? Yes, Princess. Though I must say again, I do not trust these humans. Our scans show they have more weapons than we thought. Lyra waved her hand, dismissing his worries. They are barely space travelers. Their weapons are like toys to us. The ship, called the Celestial Tide, moved closer to Earth. Its beautiful silver shape reflected the sun as it descended toward the blue planet. Inside, 20 royal guards prepared for the first meeting with humans. They wore armor that could stop most weapons and carried guns that could turn a human to dust in seconds. Lyra sat in her command chair, watching the main screen. Earth looked peaceful from up here. Blue oceans, green and brown land, white clouds, not so different from her home planet but much less advanced. We are being hailed, her communication officer said. The humans want to talk. Show me, Lyra ordered. The screen changed to show a human face, a female with short brown hair and a serious expression. She wore a dark uniform with small symbols on the shoulders. This is Lieutenant Olivia Mercer of Earth Defense Force. Unidentified craft. State your purpose immediately, or we will consider your approach an act of war. Lyra smiled. How cute. These humans thought they could threaten her. I am Princess Lyra Vex Noor of the Zalarian Empire. We come to bring your people into our glorious union. Prepare a landing area for my ship and gather your leaders. The human's face didn't change. No fear, no awe, just that same serious look. Negative. You do not have permission to enter Earth airspace. Maintain your current position while we... Lyra cut the connection with a wave of her hand. Boring. Continue our descent, pilot. Princess. Her science. Officer called out. They are aiming weapons at us. Lyra laughed. Let them try. Our shields can withstand anything they have. The first missile hit 30 seconds later. The ship shook slightly. Shield at 98%, someone reported. Then more missiles came. Many more. The ship began to shake harder. Shields at 70%. 60%. Lyra stood up, no longer smiling. Impossible. Return fire. The Celestial Tide fired its weapons, destroying many of the incoming missiles, but the humans had hundreds more. And now fighter ships appeared, small and fast, shooting at the Zalarian ship from all directions. "We need to retreat, Princess," Drav shouted over the noise of explosions. "No, I will not run from these primitives," Lyra screamed. But even as she said it, she knew they were in trouble. How could the humans be this strong, this organized? Someone had made a terrible mistake in their research. A massive explosion rocked the ship, throwing Lyra to the floor. Red emergency lights flashed everywhere. "Engine 2 is destroyed. We're going down," the pilot yelled. The celestial tide fell through Earth's atmosphere, trailing smoke and fire. Lyra held onto her chair as the ship spun and shook. Around her, her crew worked frantically to save the ship. "Crash landing procedures, everyone brace," Drav ordered. The ship hit the ground with terrible force. Metal tore, glass shattered. Lyra felt her body fly through the air before everything went black. When she opened her eyes again, smoke filled the bridge. Bodies of her crew lay everywhere. Some moved weakly. Others would never move again. Lyra pulled herself up, ignoring the pain in her side. Her royal dress was torn and stained with her blue blood. She had to find a way out. Had to contact her homeworld. She stumbled through the wreckage toward the emergency exit. Behind her, she heard the hiss of the main door being forced open. The humans were entering her ship. Lyra ran as fast as she could through the damaged corridors. She heard shouting behind her. Human voices. They were inside the ship now, hunting her. She turned a corner and faced a dead end. The emergency exit was blocked by fallen debris. She was trapped. Footsteps approached from behind. Lyra turned, raising her hand where she wore her royal ring. It contained a weapon that could kill at close range. She would not be taken alive. A human figure appeared in the smoke, the same female from the screen. Lieutenant Olivia Mercer. She held a weapon pointed at Lyra. "Don't move," Olivia said. Lyra prepared to fire her ring weapon, but something strange happened. When she looked into the human's blue eyes, a flash of memory hit her like lightning. A ceremony. Twin moons in the sky. This same human standing before her, but in different clothes. Their hands tied together with glowing rope. The memory vanished, as quickly as it came, leaving Lyra confused and shaken. Olivia seemed equally stunned. She had lowered her weapon slightly, a strange look on her face. "Do I know you?" Olivia asked quietly. Before Lyra could answer, more humans appeared behind Olivia. They rushed forward, weapons raised. Lyra felt something hit her neck, and then darkness took her again. She awoke in a small room with white walls. Her royal clothes had been replaced with simple gray ones. Her jewelry and ring weapon were gone. A clear wall made of strong material separated her from a corridor where humans walked past, sometimes stopping to look at her like she was an animal in a cage. Hours later, the door opened. Lieutenant Olivia Mercer walked in alone. She carried a small device in her hands. "Your ship's quantum matrix is damaged," Olivia said flatly. "Tell me how to repair it, or we'll both be dead when the core destabilizes." Lyra stood tall, trying to look royal even in her prison clothes. "Why should I help you? You shot down my ship, killed my people." "You invaded our airspace after being warned not to," Olivia replied. "But that's not important now. If your ship's core explodes, it will take out half this continent." She handed the device to Lyra. When their fingers touched, both women gasped. That same vision flashed through both their minds. The ceremony, the moons, the glowing rope binding their hands. They stared at each other in shock and confusion. "What was that?" Olivia whispered. Lyra's heart raced. "I don't know, but I've seen you before. Somewhere. Somehow." And in that moment, Princess Lyra knew that nothing would ever be the same again. Something important had been hidden from her. And this Olivia Mercer, was the key to finding out what it was. Dr. Kate Sullivan's lab was in the basement of the military base. The walls were white and clean. Strange machines filled the room. Some beeped quietly. Others had blinking lights. Dr. Sullivan was a small woman with curly red hair and kind eyes. She looked up from her computer when Olivia and Lyra walked in. Lieutenant Mercer, she said with surprise, and Princess Lyra. I wasn't expecting you. She looked at the guards who followed them. Is everything okay? We need your help, Kate, Olivia said. It's urgent. Dr. Sullivan nodded and led them to a quiet corner of the lab. Olivia asked the guards to wait by the door. Then she explained everything, the shared visions, the dreams, their theory about lost memories. Dr. Sullivan listened carefully, her face serious. When Olivia finished talking, the doctor was quiet for a long moment. I've been studying Zellerian brain patterns, she finally said. They're similar to human brains in some ways, very different in others. Princess Lyra's brain shows signs of telepathic abilities we don't have. Can you help us recover our memories? Lyra asked. Dr. Sullivan bit her lip, thinking, maybe. I've been working on a machine that can amplify brain signals. It might work with your telepathic abilities, Princess, but it's experimental, dangerous even. We have to try, Olivia said. There's a Zellerian war fleet heading for Earth. We need to understand what happened 10 years ago if we're going to stop a war. Dr. Sullivan nodded. Okay, I'll help you, but we need to be careful, and we need to be quick. She led them to a large machine in the back of the lab. It looked like a metal arch with 2 chairs underneath it. Wires and tubes connected it to several computers. This is the neural bridge, Dr. Sullivan explained. It was designed to allow communication between different species' brains. It amplifies and translates neural signals. You want to connect our brains? Olivia asked, looking unsure. If Princess Lyra's theory is correct, and you two share some kind of bond, this machine might help strengthen it enough to break through whatever is blocking your memories. Lyra stepped forward. I'll do it. Olivia hesitated, then nodded. Me too. Dr. Sullivan helped them sit in the chairs under the arch. She placed metal caps on their heads. The caps had many wires connecting to the machine. This might feel strange, she warned. If it gets too uncomfortable, just say so and I'll stop right away. She went to a computer and typed some commands. The machine hummed to life. Lyra felt a tingling sensation in her head. Beside her, Olivia shifted uncomfortably. I'm starting at the lowest setting, Dr. Sullivan said. I'll increase power slowly. The tingling grew stronger. Lyra closed her eyes. Images began to flash in her mind. Random at first, then more focused. She saw her palace on Zelleria. She saw a spaceship landing. Humans stepping out wearing formal clothes. A peace delegation. I'm seeing something, she said. The first contact between our worlds. It wasn't my mission, it happened years ago. 10 years ago, Olivia whispered. Her eyes were closed too. I was there. I was part of Earth's military escort for the diplomats. Dr. Sullivan increased the power. The machine hummed louder. More images flooded Lyra's mind. Meetings between Zellerian and human leaders, arguments, threats of war, then a solution proposed. A joining of the 2 worlds through royal marriage. An ancient Zellerian tradition. They chose me, Lyra said, her voice shaking. I was young, only just an adult. They said I had to marry a human to secure peace. They chose me too, Olivia said. I was a promising young officer. They said it was my duty to Earth. The memories came faster now. The ceremony under twin moons, one of Zelleria's moons and one of its planets, visible together in the night sky. The Shar-Tala bond forming between them, connecting their minds and souls. And after, growing feelings. What started as duty becoming something more. Then, betrayal. There was a faction on my world, Lyra gasped, led by my cousin Vela. They didn't want peace with humans. They wanted to conquer Earth. And there was a group here too, Olivia added. Military leaders who saw Zellerians as a threat. They wanted to strike first before your people could attack. They saw the conspiracy form. Admiral Harlow on Earth, Princess Vela on Zelleria, working together secretly to tear apart the peace. They drugged us, Lyra said, tears running down her face. They used memory technology on both of us, made us forget everything. They separated us, Olivia continued. Sent you back to Zelleria, kept me on Earth. Gave us both new memories, new lives. And then they waited, planning for war. Lyra finished. Dr. Sullivan watched them with wide eyes. This is incredible, she whispered. Your memories are syncing perfectly. The machine suddenly sparked. Smoke rose from one of the computers. Something's wrong, Dr. Sullivan said, rushing to the controls. The power levels are spiking. I need to shut it down. No, Lyra shouted. Not yet. We need to see the rest. One last memory surfaced, the most important one. After the ceremony, when they were alone, Lyra and Olivia standing together holding hands, looking into each other's eyes. No longer strangers forced into a political marriage, but two people choosing each other freely. I loved you, Olivia whispered, opening her eyes to look at Lyra. And I loved you, Lyra replied, meeting her gaze. The machine sparked again, louder, this time. Alarms blared. Dr. Sullivan quickly shut it down. The humming stopped. The tingling in Lyra's head faded, but the memories remained, clear and complete. It worked, Lyra said, removing the cap from her head. We remember everything now. Olivia stood up, a little shaky. Admiral Harlow, she was part of it. She helped erase our memories. And my cousin Vela worked with her, Lyra added. They wanted war, not peace. Dr. Sullivan looked at them with concern. What will you do now? We need to contact my cousin's fleet, Lyra said. Tell her I'm alive, stop the attack. And we need to confront Admiral Harlow, Olivia added. Expose what she did. They thanked Dr. Sullivan and hurried back to the command center. When they arrived, Admiral Harlow was still there, looking at the large screen showing the approaching Zalarian fleet. Admiral, Olivia said loudly, we need to talk. Admiral Harlow turned. Her eyes narrowed when she saw their faces. What's wrong, Lieutenant? We remember everything, Lyra said, stepping forward. We know what you did 10 years ago. The peace treaty, the marriage, the memory manipulation. The Admiral's face went pale. She looked around the room. Other officers had stopped to listen. I don't know what you're talking about, she said, but her voice wavered. You worked with my cousin Vela, Lyra continued. You both wanted war, so you destroyed the peace we built. You committed treason, Olivia added, against Earth and its people. Admiral Harlow's expression hardened. Everything I did was to protect Earth. The Zalarians can't be trusted. They would have betrayed us eventually. That's not true, Lyra said. My people honored the peace treaty. It was you and Vela who betrayed everyone. The Admiral looked around again. The other officers were watching closely now, many with shocked expressions. Lieutenant Mercer has clearly been influenced by the alien, Admiral Harlow said. She's not thinking clearly. Guards, take them both to detention. 2 guards stepped forward, but they hesitated. Olivia stood tall, her voice firm. Admiral Diane Harlow, I am placing you under arrest for treason, conspiracy, and crimes against humanity. You have the right to remain silent. More guards entered the room. They looked confused, unsure who to obey. This is ridiculous, Admiral Harlow sputtered. I am your commanding officer. Not anymore, said a new voice. An older man in a general's uniform walked into the command center. I've heard everything, Diane, we all have. General Foster, Harlow said, her face now very white. This isn't what it looks like. We've been monitoring this room since the alien fleet was detected, the general said. We heard your confession, and we've already found evidence in your private files. You've been communicating with the Zalarians for years. The guards now moved toward Admiral Harlow. She looked around wildly, then suddenly pulled out a small gun. She pointed it at Lyra. This is all your fault, she hissed. You and your kind should never have come to Earth. Olivia moved quickly, putting herself between Lyra and the Admiral. Put the gun down, Diane. It's over. For a terrible moment, Lyra thought Admiral Harlow would shoot. But then her shoulders slumped. The gun fell from her hand. The guards rushed forward and took her away. General Foster turned to Lyra and Olivia. I owe you both an apology. It seems our government made a terrible mistake 10 years ago. We need to contact the Zalarian fleet, Lyra said urgently. My cousin thinks I'm dead. She's using that as an excuse to attack Earth. Can we use your ship's communication system? Olivia asked. The quantum matrix is still unstable, the general replied. But we have repaired the basic systems. It might work. They hurried to where the celestial tide lay, surrounded by human scientists and soldiers. The ship looked damaged, but was mostly intact. Inside, they went to the bridge. Human technicians worked on the controls, trying to understand the advanced technology. I need to send a message to the Imperial Dawn, Lyra told them. It's urgent. The technicians stepped aside, letting Lyra access the communication system. She typed quickly, sending a special royal code that only another member of her family would recognize. Then she activated the visual link. The celestial tide rose slowly from Earth, its damaged engine struggling against gravity. Inside, a small crew worked frantically to keep the ship flying. There were only 15 people on board. 10 human soldiers, 3 scientists, Princess Lyra and Lieutenant Olivia. Quantum matrix at 60% stability, one of the scientists called out. It should hold, but I wouldn't push it too hard. Lyra sat in the command chair, her fingers dancing over the controls. Beside her, Olivia watched and learned. Their newly strengthened bond allowed Lyra to share her knowledge of the ship directly with Olivia's mind. It was strange but wonderful, like having 2 brains working as one. We're breaking atmosphere, Lyra announced. Prepare for space flight. The ship shuddered as it left Earth behind. Through the main window, they watched the blue planet grow smaller. Ahead of them, the vastness of space opened up, and in the distance they could see the lights of the Zalarian war fleet. 20 ships, Olivia said, looking at the scanner. The Imperial Dawn is in the center. That's our target. How do we get past the other ships? Asked one of the human soldiers. Lyra smiled. We have an advantage they don't know about. This ship has a royal override code. I can temporarily disable their weapons systems. Will that work on your cousin's ship too? Olivia asked through their mind link. No, Lyra replied silently. The Imperial Dawn has special protections, but it will work on the others. Aloud, she said, we need to move fast. As soon as I send the override code, Vela will know what we're doing. We'll have maybe 5 minutes before her technicians can restore the other ship's weapons. So we fly straight for the Imperial Dawn, board it and capture your cousin, Olivia summarized. Simple. One of the soldiers laughed nervously. Yeah, real simple. Lyra activated the ship's stealth system. It wouldn't hide them completely, but it would make them harder to detect until they got closer. Everyone to your positions, Olivia ordered. Weapons check. Make sure your suits are sealed properly. Once we board the Imperial Dawn, we'll be in their environment. The soldiers moved quickly, checking their gear. The scientists made final adjustments to the ship's systems. Lyra and Olivia prepared themselves mentally, strengthening their bond even more. Are you scared? Olivia asked privately through their link. Yes, Lyra admitted. Vela is dangerous, and she has more soldiers than we do. But we have something she doesn't, Olivia replied, taking Lyra's hand. We have each other. The celestial tide moved silently through space, drawing closer to the Zalarian fleet. So far they hadn't been detected, or if they had, the other ships weren't responding. We're in range, Lyra said after a tense half-hour. I'm sending the override code now. She typed a complex sequence into the control panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, on the scanner, they saw the weapon systems of 19 ships suddenly go offline. It worked, one of the scientists exclaimed. Now they know we're here, Olivia said. Full speed to the Imperial Dawn. The celestial tide surged forward, no longer trying to hide. They raced past the other ships in the fleet, which could do nothing but watch. On the communication system, they heard confused chatter as Zalarian crews tried to understand what was happening. The Imperial Dawn grew larger in their view. It was massive, at least 10 times the size of the celestial tide. Its silver hull gleamed in the starlight. Weapon ports opened along its sides. "They're arming weapons," a soldier warned. "Evasive maneuvers," Lyra called out. The celestial tide swerved just as the Imperial Dawn fired. Energy beams sliced through space where they had been moments before. "We can't take a direct hit," one of the scientists said worriedly. "Our shields are too weak." "We won't need to," Lyra replied. "We just need to get close enough to board." Through their mental link, she shared her plan with Olivia. It was risky, but it might work. "Are you sure?" Olivia asked silently. "It's our best chance," Lyra replied. Aloud, Olivia said, "Change of plans, everyone. We're going to use the emergency transport system. It's similar to what you'd call a teleporter. It will get us directly onto the Imperial Dawn." "I thought that system was damaged in the crash," one of the scientists said. "It was," Lyra confirmed. "But we repaired it enough for one use. It will only work for 4 people, though." "Then it's you, me, and 2 soldiers," Olivia decided. She picked the 2 strongest from the group. "The rest of you stay with the ship," Lyra instructed. "Keep it running. If we succeed, we'll contact you. If we fail—" She didn't finish the sentence. They moved quickly to the transport room at the back of the ship. It was small, with just enough space for 4 people to stand on a circular platform. Complicated equipment surrounded it, much of it damaged and hastily repaired. "This doesn't look safe," one of the soldiers muttered. "It's not," Lyra said honestly. "But it's our only option." They stepped onto the platform. Lyra typed commands into a panel on the wall. The machinery hummed to life, not quite smoothly. "I've set it to take us to the bridge of the Imperial Dawn," she told them. "We'll appear right in front of my cousin. The surprise should give us an advantage." "What if we materialize inside a wall or something?" the other soldier asked nervously. "The system prevents that," Lyra assured him, though she wasn't entirely sure the damaged equipment would work properly. "Everyone ready?" Olivia asked, raising her weapon. They nodded. Lyra pressed the final button, then quickly stepped back onto the platform. The humming grew louder. The air around them began to shimmer. "No matter what happens," Lyra said to Olivia through their bond, "I'm glad we found each other again." "We'll have plenty of time to catch up after we save Earth," Olivia replied with a smile. The world dissolved around them. For a moment they existed nowhere, their bodies turned to energy. Then with a flash and a sensation like being pulled through water, they reformed. They stood on the bridge of the Imperial Dawn. It was much larger than the Celestial Tides Bridge, with at least 20 crew members working at various stations. At the center, in a raised command chair, sat Princess Vela. Her eyes widened in shock when they appeared. "Now!" Olivia shouted. The 4 of them raised their weapons simultaneously. The Zalarian crew froze, too surprised to react immediately. "Don't move," Lyra commanded in her royal voice. "This is Princess Lyra Vex Nor. I am taking command of this vessel." Vela recovered from her surprise quickly. She pressed a button on her chair. "Guards! Intruders on the bridge!" Doors at the sides of the bridge opened. Zalarian soldiers poured in. "Weapons ready! Drop your weapons or we'll shoot!" one of the human soldiers yelled. No one moved. A tense standoff developed, with Lyra's small group in the center and Zalarian guards all around them. "You're outnumbered, cousin," Vela said, with a cold smile. "Surrender now and I might let your human pets live." "This ends now, Vela," Lyra replied firmly. "You betrayed our people. You betrayed me. All for your ambition." "I did what was necessary," Vela snapped. "Humans are a threat to us. They should be conquered, not allied with." "You're wrong," Lyra said. "They're different from us, yes, but they're strong and resourceful. They would make better allies than subjects." Through their mental link, Olivia sent a warning. "More guards coming. We need to act now." Lyra nodded slightly. Then, to everyone's surprise, she lowered her weapon. "I don't want to fight you, Vela. I never did." Vela looked suspicious. "What are you doing?" Lyra took a step forward. I'm offering you a choice. Stop this attack. Return home with me. Tell the truth about what happened 10 years ago. Help me rebuild the peace you destroyed. And why would I do that? Vela asked with a laugh. Because if you don't, I'll have no choice but to invoke the royal challenge. The Zilarian crew gasped. Even Vela looked shocked. You wouldn't dare, she whispered. What's the royal challenge? Olivia asked through their link. An ancient tradition, Lyra explained silently. One royal challenges another for their position. A duel, essentially. If I win, I take command of her ship and her crew must obey me. And if you lose? Then I die and you and Earth are on your own. Olivia's fear flowed through their bond. There has to be another way. Trust me, Lyra replied. Aloud she said, I, Princess Lyra Vexnor, invoke the royal challenge against Princess Vela Vexnor. By the ancient laws of our people, you must accept or forfeit your rank and honor. Vela stood slowly from her command chair. Her face showed a mixture of anger and calculation. I accept your challenge, cousin, though it will give me no pleasure to kill you. The Zilarian guard stepped back, forming a circle around the two princesses. One of them took Lyra's weapon. It was forbidden to use modern weapons in the royal challenge. This would be fought in the traditional way. Another guard stepped forward carrying a case. He opened it to reveal two silver rods, each about the length of an arm. These were traditional Zilarian dueling weapons called tashava. When activated, they generated an energy field that could stun or kill, depending on how they were used. Lyra and Vela each took one. The weapons hummed to life in their hands, glowing with blue energy. Begin when ready, the guard announced, then quickly stepped back. The two princesses circled each other slowly. Lyra could feel Olivia's concern through their bond. I've trained with this weapon since childhood, Lyra assured her silently. And I have an advantage Vela doesn't know about. What's that? Olivia asked. You. Your combat experience. Your knowledge. I can access it through our bond. 1 month had passed since the battle in space. The Zilarian fleet still orbited Earth, but now as allies, not enemies. On the ground, things were changing quickly. Humans and Zilarians worked together, sharing knowledge and technology. It wasn't always easy. There were misunderstandings and arguments. Some people on both sides still didn't trust each other. But progress was happening. In New York City, at the United Nations building, a historic meeting was about to take place. Leaders from Earth and Zilaria would sign a new peace treaty, and at the center of it all were Princess Lyra and Lieutenant Olivia. Are you nervous? Olivia asked as they prepared in a private room. She wore a formal military uniform with new, special pins that marked her unique status. A little, Lyra admitted. She was dressed in royal Zilarian robes, silver and purple fabric that seemed to flow like water. My parents will be watching the broadcast. This is the first time they'll see us together since our memories were restored. Do you think they'll approve? Olivia asked, adjusting her collar in the mirror. Lyra smiled. They approved 10 years ago. They were the ones who suggested our marriage in the first place. They just didn't know about the conspiracy to tear us apart. Their lives had been a whirlwind since returning to Earth with the Zilarian fleet. Princess Vela had been sent back to Zilaria for trial. Admiral Harlow faced similar charges on Earth. The conspirators on both worlds were being exposed and arrested. More importantly, Lyra and Olivia had reconnected fully. Their Shartala bond grew stronger each day. They could share thoughts and feelings across great distances now. They had moved into a special apartment modified to suit both human and Zilarian needs. It wasn't always easy. They came from very different cultures, but their love made the challenges worthwhile. A knock at the door interrupted their preparations. Dr. Kate Sullivan entered, smiling broadly. The neural bridge is set up in the main hall, she reported. Everything is ready for the ceremony. The neural bridge was Dr. Sullivan's improved version of the machine that had helped restore Lyra and Olivia's memories. Today it would be used to demonstrate the Shartala bond to the assembled leaders and to the world watching on television. It would show that humans and Zilarians could connect in profound ways. Thank you, Kate, Olivia said warmly. We couldn't have done any of this without you. Dr. Sullivan had become Earth's leading expert on Zellarian biology and psychology. She was helping other human-Zellarian pairs discover connections they never knew existed. It turned out that the ancient practice of diplomatic marriages between their worlds had been more common than anyone realized. Several other couples had come forward, their memories starting to return naturally after Lyra and Olivia broke through their own mental barriers. It's almost time, Dr. Sullivan said, checking her watch. The hall is filling up. Everyone important is here. Lyra took a deep breath. Then we shouldn't keep them waiting. They walked together through the corridors of the UN building. Security. Guards from both worlds stood at attention as they passed. People stopped to stare at the striking couple, the purple-skinned alien princess and the human military officer, walking hand in hand. They reached the doors to the main assembly hall. Inside, hundreds of people waited. World leaders, diplomats, military officials, scientists, and journalists from Earth. Royal advisors, fleet commanders, and cultural ambassadors from Zellaria, all gathered to witness history being made. Ready? Olivia asked, squeezing Lyra's hand. Ready, Lyra replied, both aloud and through their bond. The doors opened. They walked in together. The hall fell silent as they entered. All eyes turned to watch them walk down the central aisle toward the stage. The neural bridge stood there, modified to be larger and more impressive than the original version. Screens around the hall would show what the machine detected, the visible manifestation of their bond. They reached the stage and turned to face the audience. Lyra recognized faces from both worlds, Earth's new president, Zellarian royal advisors, military leaders who had opposed the peace and those who had supported it, scientists eager to learn, regular citizens chosen by lottery to attend this historic event. The Secretary General of the United Nations stepped forward to the microphone. Today marks a new beginning in the relationship between Earth and Zellaria, she began. 1 month ago, we stood on the brink of war. Today, we gather to ensure such a threat never happens again. She spoke about the history between the two worlds, the first contact 11 years ago, the original peace treaty, the conspiracy that derailed it, and the recent events that had brought them back together. We are honored to have with us the two people most responsible for this renewed peace, the Secretary General continued. Princess Lyra Vex-Noor of Zellaria and Lieutenant Olivia Mercer of Earth. Their story is remarkable, their bond is unique, and today they will share that bond with all of us. Lyra and Olivia stepped forward. The audience applauded politely, though many still looked uncertain or skeptical. It was one thing to hear about an alien-human bond. It was another to truly believe in it. Thank you, Lyra said when the applause died down. My people have a saying. From distant stars we come, but in each other we find home. For centuries we thought this applied only to Zellarians. Now we know it can extend between our worlds. Olivia spoke next. 10 years ago, Princess Lyra and I were joined in what her people call a Shartala bond, a connection of minds and hearts that transcends ordinary understanding. That bond was suppressed by those who feared what our unity represented. Today we will show you its power and its beauty. They moved to the neural bridge. Dr. Sullivan helped them connect to the machine, placing special sensors on their temples. The large screens around the hall activated, showing brainwave patterns and energy readings. The Shartala bond allows us to share thoughts, feelings, and even skills, Lyra explained as the machine hummed to life. It creates a connection that cannot be broken, even by distance or time. What you're about to see is not just a bond between two individuals, Olivia added. It represents the potential for connection between all our peoples. They joined hands. The sensors on their temples began to glow. On the screens, their brain waves synchronized, forming matching patterns. Then, slowly, a blue light appeared between them. It started as a small spark, then grew into a pulsing sphere that surrounded their joined hands. Gasps rose from the audience. The blue energy was visible not just on the screens but in real life. It glowed with a light that seemed to come from another dimension, beautiful and otherworldly. This is the physical manifestation of the Shartala bond, Lyra said. It is normally visible only to those who share it, but when the connection is strong enough, as ours has become, others can see it too. The blue light expanded, growing brighter. It flowed around them like water, connecting them in a luminous web that shifted and moved with their thoughts. Through their bond, they shared their emotions with each other: love, hope, determination. What you're seeing is proof that our species are not meant to be enemies, Olivia said. We are different in many ways, but we can connect on the deepest levels. We can understand each other. We can love each other. The audience watched in stunned silence. Some looked moved, others amazed. A few seemed uncomfortable with what they were seeing, but no one could deny the reality of the bond displayed before them. After several minutes, Dr. Sullivan carefully disconnected them from the machine. The blue light faded slowly, though Lyra and Olivia could still feel it between them, invisible now but no less real. The Secretary General returned to the microphone. Thank you for this remarkable demonstration. Now we move to the signing of the new peace treaty between Earth and Zelaria. Officials brought forward a large document. It had been carefully crafted over the past month, with input from leaders on both worlds. It established diplomatic relations, trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense protocols. Most importantly, it acknowledged the reality of human Zalarian bonds and protected the rights of those who shared them. Lyra and Olivia watched as representatives from both worlds signed the treaty. Each signature brought applause from the audience. When the last name was added, the hall erupted in cheers. The Secretary General raised her hands for quiet. There is one more ceremony to perform today, she announced. One that is both personal and symbolic. She gestured to Lyra and Olivia, inviting them forward again. An elderly Zalarian stepped onto the stage from one side. From the other side came a human judge in formal robes. 10 years ago, these two were joined in a ceremony that was meant to seal peace between our worlds, the Secretary General explained. Today, they will renew those vows, this time with full awareness and free choice. The elderly Zalarian was a high priest from Lyra's world. He spoke in the flowing language of Zelaria, then translated for the human audience. The Shartala bond is formed by destiny but confirmed by choice. Today we honor both. The human judge nodded. And in the traditions of Earth, we recognize the free union of two people who choose to build a life together, regardless of their differences. Lyra and Olivia turned to face each other. They had prepared special vows that combined traditions from both their worlds. They spoke in both languages, first Zalarian, then English, so everyone could understand. From distant stars we came,